welcome to Easy Transitions Customer Journeys podcast. This is the first in a series of podcasts where we talk about business. We talk about marketing, sales, and even customer service. The goal of Easy Transition is to grow your business. We are a growth agency. We partner with HubSpot, and we apply the principles of inbound to take your business to the next level. So in this podcast, we're gonna talk about growth. We're gonna talk about how easy transition is, for lack of a better word, transitioning the company into something new, something different. We're gonna talk about how we are, growing ourselves, and then we'll talk about what we can do to make our clients grow. So we are figuring this out ourselves because every business is different, and we want to do a deep dive into every customer we get, just like we're doing with ourselves today, and talk about where we want to be, and how do we get there, right? So if this is something that you're interested in, thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned in. We will have some great information for you. We'll also have some guests. They're going to be some of our clients. We'll talk about how we're helping them grow and take them to the next level. So in this episode is going to be all about us. So with me here, I have Maria Liza and I have Maria Paula. They both work at Easy Transition, so I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we'll jump right into it. So Maria Liza, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Maria, just known as Maria, the original. And well, I'm from Colombia. I'm marketing major, and I have been working with this transition for a couple of months now. As Darren was saying, we're focusing a lot on inbound strategies, and I thought, hey, let's discuss what's that and why did we choose to go inbound, because I don't know if many people know what inbound strategies are. So we should also go into that before we continue. But yeah, I've been working in marketing for a couple of years now. I got started in construction, and now I'm part of this amazing growth agency. So hopefully, we're going to talk about some topics that are going to make you grow your business and that are very interesting for you.
Interesting.
MP.
Okay, Maria. Side note: what did you do in construction?
Marketing as well.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah. So it was more, we didn't focus a lot on digital marketing because it was kind of new. So I didn't work on that part as much as I worked in events. So we made different events with people who, it's this big company and they sell like different products. So for example, for homes. So if you wanted to, I don't know, set a roof or something, they give you the products to do it. However, you can be like a reseller for the brand. So we made like this different kinds of events, and we brought people from all over the country in Colombia to I don't know, get to know the products better. So it was like a different kind of marketing. I didn't manage that much the digital side, but it was also so interesting because it was more about interacting with people, and here in Colombia that's a very big deal. um, it's not just like the person that resells your products, but you have to forge relationships. So it was really interesting and get them involved with the products and get like feedback from them, because of course they know sometimes some customers better than us, because we are focused, I don't know, maybe in supermarket, but they like get to spend time with people, and I don't know, they have many suggestions to be like, okay, this product works best this way, so use it this way. So it was really interesting. So I handled that, and of course, like guides and all the marketing materials to make it attractive and easier for the customers to, yeah, to use. So yeah, it was like a different kind of marketing, but it was really interesting too.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So Maria Paula, you want to tell us about you?
Yes, hi, I'm Maria Paula. I'm from Colombia as well. I'm supporting Darren and Maria with Easy Transition and their inbound strategies. I kind of help them shape like customers' experience and yeah, I'm kind of here trying to help them with everything. So yeah, that's my
Tell us about your background as as an audio engineer, because you are an audio engineer, which means you are producing this podcast.
exactly.
Great.
Yeah, like I studied sound engineering, so I kind of do have this experience with audio media mostly. So we had this idea to create this podcast, and I'm the one in charge of all the technical aspects. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, just a note, if you want to work for EZtransition, you do not have to be named Maria, and you do not have to be from Colombia. So, just want to get that out of the way. This is just a coincidence. Do you don't want to get out of
Happy
the way?
coincidence.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. We took us a week to figure out what to call each person, but okay, so now that we got the introductions out of the way, I guess I'll introduce myself. So my name is Darren Cato. I am the CEO and founder of EZtransition. We have been in business since 2006, in varying capacities. Like I said, we started off as a website development agency, so we would build websites essentially. Starting from way back in the day, we built, we used frameworks like Joomla and WordPress, and we did custom development and app development. And now we're kind of moving, well, not kind of, we have moved over to more of the marketing side where we focus on growth. We focus on the entire company. Because what we were seeing was that companies were coming to us, or small businesses were coming to us, and they wanted a website, which was back in 2006, that was fine, right? They would get a website and they could do some Google ads and they'll be fine. They would get some traffic and everything would be great. Put up an e-commerce store and they would sell stuff. Today, it's a much more crowded space, so it becomes a lot more difficult if somebody wants to start from zero and be successful. And even if you are an existing business and you're brick and mortar and you're trying to get into e-commerce, or you're just trying to drive leads, like just lead generation and customer acquisition, that is a lot more difficult in 2021 than it was in 2008, right? So you have to focus on the entire company. You have to focus on marketing. You got to focus on sales. You got to focus on service. And even within marketing, there's like a million and one things to do. So we stopped just being a website business because that was just not working. So yeah, we do websites, sure, but we also come up with an entire strategy around customer acquisition and lead generation, and also just the success and growth of your business. So I guess this is what we'll talk about today. We'll talk about how we transitioned. Is that in fact we're still in the process of transitioning, and we'll talk about you know how we're getting there, what tools we're using, who we're partnering with, who our clients are, what our next steps are, hopes and dreams, everything. Right. So this is going to be one of those discussions, and this is just our first in a series of many podcasts. So while we were talking offline about target audience, so and this is important for every business. So I think today, why don't we focus on target audience, and we can wrap it up after we talk about target audience. So we've been struggling with this, and we in the past, for EZtransition, our target audience was anybody who wanted a website, right? Which seems great if you're a business because you have a large pool of people to pull from. Um, but you can run into pitfalls when you don't clearly define your target audience. There are definite benefits and there are definite drawbacks to not defining a target audience. So I'm gonna let Maria talk about that a bit. So Maria, you were there from the beginning when we decided to change up our target audience. Tell us how that process went, or
How it's going, because I think it's like an ongoing aspect of our business. Yeah. And I was thinking, back at school they told you like first you have to set your target audience, and this is really important because once you do, it's all going to fall uh, in place. So it's like kind of step by step, and ideally you're going to do it. But then you go to the practice and try to do it and be like, okay, where do I start? And I don't know if any of the people that are listening to us struggle with this, but I sure know we do. And I did. I have always had that struggle, because it's really, because maybe we want to offer like this amazing product to everyone, and be like, and not everyone is a fit to receive it like they should. So I think that's the first thing that we should take into account. We cannot serve everyone, because you're going to like the product blue, and then maybe MP is going to like it yellow, and then I like it red. So we cannot serve everyone, and I think it's really important to understand and to be like, okay, that's okay. It's okay to not be able to serve everyone. So I
Yeah.
think it is really important for all of us to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm going to decide who I'm going to serve and why. So I think it's really important to also understand the why behind all your strategy. So just sit down with a piece of paper and be like, okay, what do I want to do? The characteristics of my service or my product, and who would be the ideal person to appreciate all of the stuff that I'm doing. So,
Well, the problem is that it's just so hard as a business owner or an executive. It's really hard to say no
yeah,
to new business. So if you get new business coming in and somebody's like, "Hey, take my money," and they're like, "Well, you just don't fit my target, my ideal audience,"
exactly. Yeah,
and you gotta leave that down. But I think what happens when you define a target audience and you stick to it is that you start to become a subject matter expert in that field. So if you were going to a marketing agency that works with everybody, what happens is you get kind of a bland, generic marketing strategy. Whereas if you were to work with an agency that says, okay, I'm only going to work with like software product vendors that make over $1 million, right? For instance, then if you've been working with, as a marketing agency, if you've been working with these kinds of companies, then you tend to really be entrenched in their process, and you found out what works and what doesn't work, and you can apply that to new customers, to existing customers, and that kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So you're gonna make life a whole lot better, a whole lot easier for these customers, as opposed to somebody who's coming from, say, construction. They may not have the expertise needed to work in that software business at all. So not only are you making things better for your customers, you're also making things better for you, because now it's a whole lot easier. You don't have to learn everything. You really only need to learn about this specific niche, right? And then you become the thing about becoming a specialist is that you can also charge more. So this is great for us, and customers are willing to pay more because they're like, look, these guys know what they're talking about, and they know who they know my business, as opposed to having to figure it out and having to do several meetings and several questionnaires and learn new things about your business. We're like, okay, we've already figured it out. We've already done that work for you, so you are paying a premium for that. So think about that when you're doing your business plan, and when you're like defining your target audience, because it does help you as well as helping your customer. Right? Anything you guys want to say on that?
yeah. I think it depends on your goal, I would dare to say. Because maybe, I don't know, for a company, their goal can be like reaching the most, I don't know, like the biggest amount of customers. So if their goal is that one, they should wrap their strategy towards that goal. But if our goal, for example, is different, to specialize in those companies, we should just direct all our strategy there. So I think it really depends. Like, there's a step by step process, and there's a reason for that. So first you have to establish your goals, and your goals are going to determine the next step. So if your audience is going to be broader or narrower, or how do you want to serve them. So I think it really starts with setting goals, and then step by step, just following the process and be like, okay, how do I get there, and how am I going to serve those customers, and then you can narrow a bit your target audience.
Yeah. No, that is excellent. Because you're right. So if you're Amazon, I don't know if Amazon has a target audience.
Yeah, I mean, they serve everyone, and they are not like, okay, I'm just going to serve schools.
Yeah.
No, because their goals are different.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on the type of business you have. If you sell a product, it is different from selling a service, and it's different if you specialize in one type of industry. So, for example, we at my previous job, we just sold construction items. So it wouldn't make sense to make some decisions if we were not going to serve that market properly. I don't know if that's making sense, but yeah, it depends on how we want to serve that market and the products we have. So if they are like industrial type products, we're not going to focus on homes.
Yeah.
But if they are like easy to do DIY things, we can focus on homes. So I think that also, like the product or service and the type of business, so for example e-commerce, that should shape like your goals and your target audience. So I
Yeah.
would recommend that. So just step by step business goals, and then you move on from there.
Yeah, no, very good. So, having said that, I brought up Amazon, and Amazon is obviously huge. But the kind of clients that we serve are going to be anywhere from like a startup to a medium-sized business,
But
and they
Amazon
don't.
also started as a startup. I mean, we all start small, right? So
You're definitely
there's
right,
no
and you're
way
right, and
like, yeah, we cannot give up on our dreams because we're small. Like we can
yeah,
grow
no,
how
you're definitely
much we
right.
want.
And even when they did their when they started, they were only targeting they were selling books, and they were only targeting people who were online, who had access to the internet, because back then not everybody had that. People who were willing to so they probably have had like a demographic in mind. They were probably younger, people who were willing to put a credit card on the internet and actually wait for delivery to
Yeah,
to get a book. So they had a very, very, very specific focus in the beginning. And to be honest, I think they still have target audiences, and they still when they start new lines of businesses, they do look and say, okay, who can we actually target with this, right? They get
yeah,
they get the first adopters, and then eventually that grows. But my point being is that many of our businesses, the business that like EZtransition is targeting, the people who are listening to this podcast, they're not Amazon, and they're not gonna. They don't have unlimited funds. And if you think
and it's
about
okay.
yeah, if you think about your marketing budget, you don't want to waste your marketing budget on people who are not in your target audience.
That's the
So
bottom line. Yeah,
yeah, so for our customers, I would say everybody needs a target audience, every single person. And you're right. Go, yeah, figure out your goals, and then once you figure out your goals, the very next step is to define who am I selling to? What does my ideal customer profile look
yeah.
like?
But I would like to know that that can change. And I think the thing about marketing and about business strategy is don't be afraid to adjust your strategy. Because sometimes we're like, oh, we have these goals and we are going to adjust them because they're not working or we're not accomplishing what we wanted. But that's okay because that's how you adapt and grow ultimately. So don't be afraid of adjusting either like the strategy or your target audience. So, for example, Amazon started with books and they had like a narrow target audience, but now they have a broader one.
Yeah,
So they adjusted. As the business grows, you can do that, but my advice would be at the beginning just start small and like realistic goals and a realistic target audience. In marketing we have something called the customer um, persona, and we just create like this character. So create that character and be like, okay, this person, I don't know, is from Colombia. They have from 25 to 35 years old. They are interested in these things, and just create that persona as if it was like a real customer. And then you can be like, okay, we can, I don't know, get her or him those products this way because they are interested in this. They are this geographically. So I would like start there, and then don't be afraid to change the strategy and change your buyer persona and your target audience as you grow.
yeah. Okay, so we have a few minutes left, so let's give I just want to have the distinction between target audience and customer persona. So you brought up a good term, customer persona. So they're not the same thing. When you define your target audience, within your target audience, you want to have different personas, right? So for example, if you're selling to marketers, you might have marketer Mary, who is the person who comes into the office. She's early. She has a director title, and she is leading the marketing team. Or you might have like Startup Sally, who is the CEO of a startup, and she's responsible for everything, including marketing. So there's different personas, but it could still be within the same target target companies. But real quick, I want to give some tips on like, okay, how do you start to identify your target audience? Let's talk about what we did to
Okay.
identify our target audience. So yeah, so well, okay, so we still service pretty much anybody. To be honest, we haven't fully transitioned over yet, but we have identified who we want to service. So, and let's talk about how we got there. Maria, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, okay. It was interesting, and I think it's an ongoing process again. So, first, what we did was, okay, we sat down, the three of us, and be like, okay, each of us is going to come up with, I think, five, right? Five industries we would like to target. So we did our homework, and then a week later, we sat down again, and we're like, okay, this is what I want to target. And I like showed them, Darren and MP, my list, and they were like, they're like, maybe that's going to work, maybe it isn't. And each of us did the same thing. And then we were like, okay, be realistic. Which of those industries is going to be a good fit for us? So then we started to cross, I think we crossed down two of each of our lists. So we remained with only three. And then yeah, we did a bit of research, and and the next meeting, I think we were like, okay, we're going to sit down and really, with our researching like by hand, we are going to decide if that specific industry is going to be a good target or not. And we came up with our top five. And from that, like from our 15 bullet point list, we just came down to five that we thought it would be a good fit for us. I think with different reasons. Each of the people that are listening to the podcast is going to have a better idea of what their ideal customers, or if that industry is going to be a good fit for them. So we decided on five industries that we thought fitted like our different requirements. So the income level, demographics, like different behaviors, all this stuff that we could improve or not, depending on each industry. So we came down to five, and then I think we came down with three, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And even then, after we came down to three, we picked one to really start focusing on. And we're being careful not to say those to
Yeah.
say those target audiences, because we still haven't really decided. We're still testing the
Yeah.
waters. So a couple things there with that story. So because we're fairly small, we're able to be agile, and we could just come up out of midday and say like, look, we want to do this. So one of the things we looked at was like, look, do we go with who we've been serving and say, okay, here's the customers that kind of flock to us anyway. Here's the kind of customers we have. Let's just do these. And it was really tough, but we decided not to do that. If you're a larger business, and you may not have a choice. You may have to go with the customers that you've already been getting, and you wanna build on that. We wanted to pivot completely, and we're like, look, we're just not, the ones that we've been serving, they're great and everything, but we're looking for something different. And we did a radical shift. And the reason we're not really saying it yet is because we're still testing the waters. So we may not be able to get that particular target that we're talking about, but we are still in the testing phase to see, can we focus on this target. So we have a top three. We're gonna try to service all three of them, but we're starting with one, and then we're going to do the other and the other, and figure out if we have what it takes to support that particular industry. which we will announce soon, but not today.
Yeah, after the testing phase is done.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's really important what you said. I mean, it doesn't mean that if you're trying to go into defining a target audience, you have to go to a new industry. It doesn't mean that. Just for us, it made sense and it was a good move on our part. But it doesn't mean you have to go like into an entire new audience. So just bear that in mind.
Awesome. All right, so we are getting to the end of time here, so I do want to wrap it up, and I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. Um, so we covered a lot in target, in selecting your target audience. What do you think we should talk about next time? I have an idea, but what do you guys think we should talk about next time?
Um, Maybe how to build a buyer persona. It would be interesting.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. So I think that sounds like a great topic. We may or may not do that. We may have a guest. We may not. So we are still building. Yeah, we're still building out this podcast. So thank you for joining us, and see you next time.
Bye.